Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are in term two of the BUS 3002, and in the student-led seminar, this is Learning Set A. Uh, this is the first access session where we will be discussing on organizations achieving increased competitiveness by using innovation and creativity. We would focus on the innovation types, the incremental versus radical, as well as open versus closed innovation as well. So I'll request you to start with the introduction itself.
My name is Ansa Zapagai and my UNID is 19436735.
My name is Palisha Turadar and my UNID is 19436733.
My name is Shine Pandit and my UNID is 19436742.
My name is Shirwa Tuladar and my UNID is 19436740.
My name is Samiksha Tamang and my UNID is 19436739.
My name is Saurav Khan and my UNID is 19436746.
My name is Vikas Sarda. My UNID is 19436737.
Starting the debate, I'd like to start the debate by giving introduction to innovation and creativity. Innovation is a spark that makes good companies great. It's not just invention, but also a style of corporate behavior comfortable with new ideas and risks. Companies that know how to innovate don't necessarily throw money in research and development. Instead, they cultivate a new style of corporate behavior that is comfortable with new ideas, change, risks, and even failure. According to America's most admired companies, Fortune March 3, 1997, their findings identified a wide variety of innovation due to its fragmented nature in public arena. They develop a useful classification of innovation in public management under four category headings: product innovation, process innovation, conceptual idea innovation, and governance innovation. According to Waste 2002, creativity is distinct from innovation as it encompasses the process leading to the generation of new ideas to create value for individuals, organizations, and the health sectors. The term innovation is used to describe the use of these new ideas, product, or methods where they have not been used before. The following are example of success through innovation where technology companies triggering a paradigm shift by impacting industries, which are Apple, which changed music and consumers electronics, Uber, which changed the taxi business, Airbnb changing the accommodation industry, and Amazon changing the retailing business. For detailing, Joseph V. Anderson has defined creativity as nothing more than going beyond the correct boundaries, whether those are boundaries of technology, knowledge, current practice, social norms, or beliefs. Diversel ETAL in 2015 undertook a systematic literature review of innovation in public management due to the identified lack of evidence based on inquiry in that field. Creativity is nothing more than seeing and acting on new relationships, thereby bringing them to life. While there are many other definitions of innovation, it is defined here by very simply using creativity to add value. Value can be economic, social, psychological, or authentic. Creativity is not a personality trait available to only few. Research has shown everyone has some creativity, but it has been sifted by fraud thinking that artistry and creativity are associated with mental illness and the scientific emphasis on materialism and analytical thinking.
Adding to my friend, I'm going to talk about corporate creativity innovation and how innovation actually happen. Robert E. Friedkin defines creativity as a learning to generate and recognize idea, alternatives, and or possibility that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. Creativity is the act of turning new and even imaginative idea into reality. Creativity is characterized by the ability to observe the world in new way, to find the hidden pattern, to make connection between seemingly unreal phenomena, and to generate solutions. Fred Leavitt, a former editor of SBR, agreed that creativity, as it is commonly defined as the ability to come up with novel idea, and it can actually be critical to the business. By falling into considerations, practice matter by implementing big thinkers can implement can inspire organizations culture decision to abstract character rather than purposeful action. Innovation is a application of better solution that meet new requirement needs and exit exiting market needs. Both creativity and innovations are critical to any business enterprise if it goes to thrive in our fastest changing world and craft a future to expand opportunity. Great innovations happen when a diverse when a diverse set of skills are combined to efficiently solve problem. Truly advised innovations are never a single event, not that they achieved by one person or even within a single organizations. Rather, that happens when solve idea combined to solve important problem. In overall, innovation begin with understanding what benefits is a benefit a user need and why. Innovations happen either by solving a problem or finding problem for technology. Innovations happen only if you have knowledge of something you want to innovate in and have to research on everything. Then only
An innovation process consists of two main activities, creativity and innovation. The term creativity and innovation are often used interchangeably. However, there is a clear distinction between creativity and innovation, the former being the generation of ideas and the latter of its implementation. In this era of globalization and competition, creativity and innovation are considered to be key factors for survival, success, and excellence of organizations. A company aims to become creative and innovative because of global forces that influences it as well as the benefits derived from aspects of its business and prospects. According to Bruno Ferrier 2007, creativity in the workplace presents its importance at the moment that makes it possible to produce innovation which results in gains from the organization and society. Innovation is the commercially successful exploitation of ideas. Successful innovation is about creating value. It does so either by improving existing goods, processes, or services, known as the incremental innovation, or by developing goods, processes, services of values that have not existed previously, known as the radical innovation. Innovation contains the idea of output, of actually producing or doing something differently, making something happen, or implementing something new. On the other hand, creativity is an active process necessarily involved in innovation. Once an idea is possible, innovation tends to be an easier challenge for more players to achieve. Creativity is the novel step of being the first to identify that something might be possible in the first place. As the word suggests, creativity is about creation. It is about harnessing the power of the mind to conceive new ideas, product plans, thoughts, experiments, tastes, sensations, or arts. Creativity can be a form of expression or a way of solving problems. There are three levels of creativity, the first one being discovery, which is a genuine idea that may come unexpectedly but may also be the result of a lengthy thought process. The second one is invention, which is a creativity brought to a higher level. For example, if Mark Zuckerberg's creative idea led to Facebook, but this is something that would have still have happened. If Zuckerberg didn't create Facebook, someone else would have created something similar. The third is the creation, which is the highest form of creativity. For example, Mozart created music no one else would have created. Creativity is the seed of all innovation. The successful creation of new products, new services, or new business practices starts with a person or a team thinking up a good idea and developing that idea beyond its initial state. Creativity is also considered as the initial step of innovation. Without creativity, neither innovation nor invention can occur. Thus, for attaining innovative outcomes, creativity is essential. Creativity results in novel and useful products, ideas, or processes which facilitates innovation.
Blido et al. Define innovation as a development and intentional introduction into practice of new and useful ideas by individual firms and organizations. In recent years, it has been almost axiomatic that the innovation process is a key one at the macro level, as as it is accepted as a vital in meeting the challenges of the early 21st century, arising from technology advances, social changes, globalization, and now the global financial crisis happening day by day. While at the major level of the individual organization innovation is a key to organizational effectiveness and competitive advantage. Davis 2009 and thus ultimately use it for commercial success and creation of wealth. Harner 2005 emphasizes that there is an overlap between the process of innovation and creativity. Creativity processes and innovation processes are different, but they are displayed in common. They display common characteristic and pattern that allow for joint reflection. Mm. It is the matter of quite explicitly. Creativity is the development of ideas, while innovation is the application of ideas. Now, I would like to talk about the about measuring innovation for managing innovation. We have heard that the saying "you can't manage what you don't measure." While there might be an element of truth in the saying, not everything in life or business can be measured accurately. Because of the abstract and somewhat uncertain nature of innovation, finding the right metrics to measure innovation can be tricky. We usually like to divide metrics into five different categories, each of the which can have both input and output metrics. The first four of the categories present each of the different aspects of innovation management. Those are capabilities of an organization, structure of an organization, culture, strategy, and while the remaining one focuses on business and product related metrics, which is business products. There have been extensive studies on how to measure a creative product in its broadcast sense. And Besmert 1999 described three common approaches used to measure product creativity: indirect measurement, global judgment, and creation-based measurement. These three approaches have been developed both in domain general and domain specific content. Some of the possible solutions include the use of expert raters, divergent thinking based scoring of creative products for originality or fluency, or assessment of a product historical impact. While it can be rather difficult to choose what to measure, measuring innovation doesn't have to be a rocket science. If we want to move our business forward, we should focus on trying to get better every day and use all the possibilities to improve and learn to make sure we are constantly moving to the right direction. Our strategy and the level of maturity of our business set a direction to choosing our innovation KPIs. And if we keep our balance between input and output metrics, we will eventually see if we are doing enough of the right things to be able to achieve our goals.
So now talking about the model of creativity and innovation in organizations, the relationship between creativity, innovation, and competitiveness at a very basic level appears readily apparent. Creativity is a necessary factor enabling innovation, and innovation of different types can improve national economic competitiveness. This relationship is extremely significant, however, in that it links three levels of analysis. Creativity is the result of inspiration and cognition, the liberalization of talent in a nurturing and even proactive context, and it is mostly an intensely private and individualistic process, which is mostly at the individual level or micro level. Innovation is a team effort and takes place at the organizational or meso level, as it needs to be combined the blessings of creativity with the fruits of invention and the propitiousness of the market conditions. Timing, selection, and sequencing are important as divine providence, obsession, and clairvoyance. Understanding the specific links and dynamics contained within this relationship may provide significant insight to the ability of nations to build and sustain conditions of competitiveness. Competitiveness in the organization resting on the pillars of creativity, invention, and innovation, and it materializes at the macro level, which is industry, market, national, and regional level. For example, Nike is famed for using innovation in its sneakers and activewear. Behind the scenes, they're just as actively innovating when it comes to content marketing. When launching its Epic React shoes in 2018, Nike teamed up with the production company Unit 9 to create React Land, the ultimate immersive experience. It's a prime example of creative content marketing since it uses an augmented reality video game where players could literally try the Epic React on for size. It resulted in 48% of the players purchasing the shoes.
Now I'd like to talk about the value of creativity and innovation in entrepreneurship innovation as a driver of economic growth. According to Drucker 1985, uh, that innovation is the tool of entrepreneurship. In addition, both innovation and entrepreneurship demand creativity. Creativity is a process by which a representative field is in the culture is changed. Creativity is the ability to make or otherwise bring into existence something new, whether a new solution to a problem, a new method or device, or a new creative object or form. It is the act of seeing things that everyone around us sees while making connections that no one else has made. According to Pierce 1974, where he quoted that were it not for creativity, culture itself would not be created. All innovation begins with creative ideas. Creativity is the starting point for innovation. Creativity is, however, necessary but not sufficient condition for innovation. Innovation is the implantation of creative inspiration. All in all, creativity and innovation are at the heart of the spirit of enterprise. It means striving to perform activities differently or to perform different activities to enable the entrepreneur deliver a unique mix of value. Thus, the value of creativity and innovation is to provide a gateway for astute entrepreneurship actively searching for opportunities to do new things, to do existing things in ordinary ways. Similarly, innovation is and creativity is also uh, the driver of economic growth. GDP is the total output of the economy, that is, the total amount of goods and services produced in the economy. This output is produced by combining inputs such as machinery, equipment, infrastructure, human capital, and labor, etc. This simple representation of the production process shows that economic growth, defined as the increase in GDP over time, can occur in two interlinked ways. The first way is through factors accumulation, that is, by increasing the quantity of inputs used in the production process. The second way is by modifying the production process so that more output is obtained from the same quantity of input. In other words, Most economic growth is due to the increase in productivity. Hence, the increase in productivity is essentially a matter of introducing innovation in the production process. Such innovation can take the form of better technological goods used as intermediate inputs. From here, we can say that innovation is therefore central to economic growth.
Mm. Okay, so defining innovation strategy. Firstly, an innovation strategy, according to Scute et al. From ResearchGate, defines it as a functional, predetermined plan governing the allocation of resources to different types of innovations in order to achieve companies' overall corporate strategic objectives. So it's not just about the smaller tactics, but it's also about meeting the organization's mission, vision, value, and meeting the value proposition. So, talking further about the innovation strategy uh, as some of the strategies that can actually help to gain competitive advantage for companies. Firstly would be by leveraging the business model. As leveraging the existing business model refers to continuous improvements and incremental innovations as opposed to business model innovation. This strategy focuses on organization that leverage the existing business model, which is on improving the core business rather than building a new business model to create a much newer value. So, as defined by Alan Hamilton in the year 2007 in the report of global innovation, it takes place on three aspects. Firstly, there is need seeking, as need seekers refers to companies focus on bringing new products to markets and basing their research and development efforts on getting direct proactive input from customers. Secondly, there's market readers, as distinguished themselves through their preferences for incremental change and being fast followers into market. And thirdly, there's technology drivers, as which focuses on technological forward approach to innovation while remaining less concerned with direct customer input to the process, as they follow directions suggested by the technological capabilities, leveraging the investment in research and technology to drive breakthrough innovation or incremental change. So, secondly, also according to another journal article from Bowender et al. To gain competitive advantage, one company can focus on platform offering, co-creation, cycle time reduction, brand value enhancement, technology leveraging, future-proofing, lean development, partnering, innovation, mutation, creative destruction, market segmentation, and uh, acquisitions as well. So such theories or methods has also been studied thoroughly throughout decades, which proves for a company to gain competitive advantage by adopting innovative strategies.
The successful exploitation of new ideas is crucial for a company to be able to improve its processes, bring new products, and enhance services on the market and increase efficiency. Innovation is one of the fundamental processes of strategic management and is generally recognized as the main source of competitive advantage for individual companies as well as for entire economic and social systems. In an era in which innovation takes place on every dimension surrounding us, in which technology is improving faster than ever, creativity has become more important than ever before. As times and businesses are changing, new competitive advantage needs to be generated. Creativity is the nature of creating something new, either a new idea, concept, or method. Innovation is using creativity to enhance performance of a process, person, team, or organization. While creativity is about generating novel ideas, innovation is about putting those ideas into practice. The main and most difficult task of businesses is to create and maintain competitive advantage. As per Tushman and Nadler 1986, organizations can gain competitive advantage only by managing effectively for today while simultaneously creating innovation for tomorrow. The former traditional way of doing business has involved lengthy periods of calm and shorter periods of change in the environment that is needed to adequately respond. Today, changes occur too quickly for managers to be able to indulge the metaphor stable water business. Any organization in which the changes are seen as temporary disruption in the stable world of business is exposed to a high risk of survival in the market. Managers must be prepared to manage change in an uncertain dynamic business environment, which is increasingly dominated by information, ideas, and knowledge. Innovation and competitive advantage are words that describe different concepts, but they are connected. Competitive advantage in business is achieved by analyzing the business. When a company makes profit that exceeds the average for its industry, it is said to possess a competitive advantage over its rivals. The goal of most business strategies is to gain a sustainable competitive advantage. Innovative companies accept the philosophy that there is always a better way of doing business and searching for new ideas that will increase their value and reduce costs. Innovation is a view of things, the process, and a key element in creating competitive advantage.
Adding up to what my friend just said about gaining competitive advantage through innovation and creativity, I would like to add upon more on that and provide dimensions of innovation and creativity. A survey by IBM of more than 1,500 chief executive officers shows census that creativity was ranked as the number one factor for future business success above management discipline, integrity, and even vision. Apple is a company synonymously with creativity. It's a brand that encourages others to think different and in turn actually made that happen. Simply saying Apple logo has proven to spark individuals. Creativity, their actions mirroring how they perceive the brand. It's that creativity that's helped Apple top the Boston Consulting Group list of the most innovative companies for 11 years in a row and grow a brand that speaks to more than its technology but design and innovation. Innovation leading group companies manage to enable innovation through meaning, sharing, co-creation, well-being, and emotional in the workplace. Talking about sharing, it's not possible for people within an organization to be creative or to feel seen, heard if information is not shared internally and across the departments. When employees receive the information they want and need, they are more committed to the company, are willing to exert disciplinary effort, and their work is more meaningful. An example here is SAP. The software giant SAP has not only made its mark in the technological arena, but has also won many employees awards, especially in the area of employment and brand management. Communication is at its core of the culture, and SAP has a how we run set of behavior described to make sure that employees understand how things are done and why behind their jobs. Another one is co-creation. Enable co-creation, take down the soils, enables conversation across teams and departments. You never know which conversation might spark an idea and a new business opportunity. The example here is Zara's special recipe for success is more data, few bosses. The company operates with little hierarchy, allowing its designer greater independence in what they do, from approving products to promotion to store supply. The company relies on data feeds which shows which items are popular to alter its store's stock so that revenue is maximized. While other fashion retailers were either filing for bankruptcy or struggling with failing profit like H&M and Gap, Zara's parent company, Inditex, showed an increase of 11% of revenue just in the first half of 2016. Other one is well-being. BIV in 2010 state that the relationship between employees' health and employees' commitment and engagement is multifaceted. Indeed, there is research evidence that suggests a two-way possibility of self-reinforcing relationship. Healthy employees are more committed and committed employees are healthier. An example here is Airbnb. The HR function was replaced with the employees experience department, which works beyond conventional HR responsibilities such as recruitment and training. Airbnb employees are considered equally valued as customers. Their workplace resembles home rather than office. They are empowered with the latest technology, and food program ensures abundant energy for a whole working day. Another one is emotions. Leaders' ability to lead with emotion, empathy, and compassion will determine how successful the company gets. According to Hay Group's study, Leadership and its Effect on Work Climate, a leader's behavior and persona affects the work climate in a term by 50 to 70%, and that impact can explain as much as 28% deviation on the bottom line. The dimension of creativity is the sensibility problem. Creative people see problem where others do not. Ability, possibility related to curiosity. Another one is novel ideas. Creative people have usual but appropriate ideas. Another one is flexibility. Creative people should be able to easily set the chains. Another one is complexity. It refers to the number of irrelated ideas an individual can manipulate at once. Also, synthesizing and analyzing ability. Creative thinking requires the organization of ideas into large, more inclusive pattern, and symbolic structure must often be broken down before new ones can be built.
Thanks to my friend. Now I would like to talk about, I would like to add about a need of innovation culture for innovation and creativity to generate a competitive advantage for an organization. A culture of innovation is an environment that supports creative thinking and advances effort to extract economies and social value from knowledge, and in doing so, generate new or improved products, services, or processes. Innovation doesn't happen on its own. If we truly want to innovate throughout the company, we must create a culture that encourage cooperation, reward creativity, and foster a positive working style that creates more opportunity for every individual. Culture is one of the seven immutable laws of innovation. The three approaches for enforcing innovation in innovative culture can be ownership, communication, and resource commitment. Talking about ownership, people who believe that their ideas doesn't matter aren't willing to step forward and offer those ideas to their company. They don't have a personal stake in the outcome, so they might fail to contribute new ideas to all. People need to know that they matter, their ideas matter, and that their contribution will be positive addition to the company as a whole. Creating a sense of ownership for each employee is a process that impacts the overall attitude of each and every person at the company. The second approach is a communication. Collaborative innovation is one of the most critical part of innovation culture. One need to open the doors for positive communication throughout the company as a whole. There are some great ideas for opening up communication within the company. Rewarding risk taking and accepting that risks won't always be profitable right away is a game change for many companies. No true innovation can offer without risks, and employees are encouraged to embrace it. The third one is resource commitment. If resources are not appropriately allocated to the task of innovation, all the creativity in the world won't be enough to create the innovation culture that the company is looking for. That means the company's resources need to be dedicated to the task. Now talking about the demands on innovation management have changed dramatically in recent years. In the traditional understanding, the R&D department is the most important source of innovation. And opening of the outside world to be better meet the increased demand changes this classical understanding. The distinction between open and closed innovation is determined by the way in which innovation is created. While a closed innovation is developed in a self-contained company environment, open innovation incorporates external knowledge into innovation management. Open innovation is an innovation management model as developed by Chesberg in 2003, which assumes that innovation is based on firms need to combine their internal and external technological development to produce a successful innovation that creates added value for the firm. Chesberg supports closed innovation followed by some firms with an open innovation, which would be a desirable achievement. One example of successful open innovation is the IBM Innovation Jam platform, which cooperates on a network basis with other companies and universities from various countries such as Switzerland and Saudi Arabia. The Internet Music Exchange Last.fm invites its users to so-called hacker days to develop new applications among the users. Talking about a closed innovation, it is based on the view that innovation are developed by companies for themselves, by themselves. From the generation of ideas to development and marketing, the innovation process takes exclusively within the company. In order to successfully implement a closed innovation in the company, certain factors must be taken into account. Closed innovation places a very high demand on employees. For example, so the company should always strive to hire highly qualified employees. It is also important to protect one's own intellectual property accordingly. The example of closed innovation can be Apple. The everything that Apple has developed as closed innovation has led to something groundbreaking. The iPod turned the MP3 player market into an unstoppable force. The original iMac influenced the all-in-one PC. Mac OS gave operating system gave Vista and Windows 7 something to seriously think about, and the iPhone is still widely viewed as the best phone on the planet.
Now, adding to my friend, I'm going to talk about open innovations versus closed innovations. Open innovations include internal knowledge into innovation management. Closed innovations depend on the idea that are internal idea, along with the process for managing the expertise can sustainable produce more new business. Information is kept within the limits of the company, and it is not shared with any internal parties. Closed innovations represents the limiting yet secured internal development process. On the other hand, open innovations is based on the belief that the knowledgeable and creative individual outside the company can also contribute to achieving strategy goals, and that sharing the intellectual properties both way and useful for the different parties in different way. The more information is gained, the more education the more information is gained, the more educated the decision on unlimitedly are. In open innovations, the development process is not limited to internal to individual within the simplifying company. Adding the amount of idea of open innovation is also higher. The difference between open innovations and closed innovations is determined by the way in which innovation is created. Or closed innovations is developed in a self-contained company environment, whereas open innovations include internal knowledge within into innovations management. Now I would like to add about when and how to use open innovation. And open innovations challenge is perfect for the companies that wish to acquire solutions for specific problem that are required insight from expertise of the fields. It finds if finding a solution or improving its time sensitive limited time challenge can be accelerate in effective cycles, which is done to increase the amount of idea and a pressure to develop something worthily into implementations. In short time, open innovations challenge are surgical and faster, making them a useful tool for the company working on the time limits or a very specific field. One of the example of open innovations is Netflix. In 2006, Netflix launched a open innovation challenge called Netflix Prize that was open to anyone for the public, so long as they were not professionally with Netflix. The determined of the competition was to find out the examination system that improved users' movies or series suggestions for 10% compared to the existing one. For the winner of the competition, Netflix offered a grand prize of 1 million USD, in which over 1 year over 40,000 terms from 186 company has enter the competitions.
Talking about the state of art and future perspectives of open or closed innovation, nowadays in the global economy scenario, technology is fundamental. It covers every aspect of our lives and has sustainably altered the way people relate to one another and do business. Moreover, the velocity with which technology has developed and spread worldwide is amazing, and its rate does not seem to decrease. Over the past 10 years, open innovation has attracted much attention from the industrial and academic communities as a method to secure the competitive advantage of organizations in the rapidly changing environment. Open innovation for a company to achieve innovation is based on the collaboration with a variety of knowledge sources that exist outside of it. The central idea behind open innovation is the creation and commercialization of innovative products that allow a company overcome its internal limitations and respond quickly to external changes by taking and absorbing external origin knowledge. Open innovation is mainly achieved through three different modalities: the acquisition of external technology in open exploration process, which is inbound innovation. The outward transfer of technology is in open exploitation process, which is outbound innovation and coupled innovation. Open innovation is usually contrasted with closed innovation, supposedly its predecessor, where companies generate their own innovation ideas and then develop, build, market, distribute, service, finance, and support them on their own. Although in reality, not many firms followed a fully closed innovation approach, a multitude of developments within and outside the innovation arena made it necessary to make innovation process more open. Based on the research and data collection, certain trends have been identified for the future of open innovation. Due to the significant impact that open innovation has had on the field of medicine, the service sector, and beyond, it is predicted that it will grow into other sectors and bring about more positive changes. A closed innovation is based on the view that innovations are developed by companies themselves. From the generation of ideas to the development of developments and marketing, the innovation process takes place exclusively within the company. In order to successfully implement a closed innovation in the company, certain factors must be taken into account. Closed innovation places very high demands on employees, for example, so the company should always strive to hire highly qualified employees. It is also important to protect one's own intellectual property accordingly. The innovation activities of external factors such as customers, suppliers, universities, or other companies should be seen as a complement to their own innovation processes. So, however, the requirement for opening up to the outside world is stable internal innovation structures and processes in order to successfully integrate and utilize external knowledge.
So now I'd like to talk about incremental innovation with some examples. Incremental innovation involves making small scale improvements to add or sustain in value to existing products, services, and processes. Simply, incremental innovation can be defined as the process of making minor improvements to existing products, services, processes, methods, or even the organization itself. This can be simple as adding a new feature to an existing product, or it can be more complex. For example, developing a line extension. One of its key elements is that it harnesses existing technology and an existing business model, so it's often easier to execute than breakthrough or radical innovation. Talking about some examples of incremental innovation, Gillette is the brand of a company that uses incremental innovation to stay ahead of the competition. Gillette razors started life with a single blade, but their product has evolved, adding different features and more blades as the company has sought to better meet customer needs. Second example can be Coca-Cola. It has used incremental innovation uh, The brand's line extensions such as Cherry Coke, Coke with Lime, and more recently Coca-Cola Life have enabled a 130-year-old brand to stay relevant, tapping into emerging trends and bring something new to its customer over the years.
The pace of innovation is incredibly high today, and the intense competition for market share gain continues to increase day by day. Incremental innovation focuses on upgrading the value proposition and adding novelty to the existing product as per customers' requirement. It focuses on continuously making existing products or services more competitive by focusing on reducing costs and improving or adding features. For instance, a new feature is added to an established product that improves but does not change its basic utility would be an incremental innovation. One of the most successful examples of incremental innovation is the iPhone. While smartphone existed before Apple entered the market, it was mostly the incremental innovations of a larger touchscreen, various ease of use, and an improved overall experience, which enabled the iPhone to be the first in making smartphones mainstream. Similarly, another example that can be given of is Google's Gmail, the world's most popular email service. When launched, Gmail had few features but did one thing very well. It delivered emails quickly without a lot of ads. As time passed, Google introduced many additional features and improved its services, making it faster and better. Google rushes to get simple products to market in order to quickly stake out the market share in emerging industry, then gradually improves their offering, making it best in the field. Companies that possess capabilities produce products that are seen by customers as those that improve the customer knowledge, not requiring new things. Compared to other innovations, incremental innovation implies less uncertainty in the market and requires less organizational learning. In other in order to continue to operate in a market, a business must introduce most of the important incremental product innovation that becomes accepted in the market, whether the firm is first to introduce the innovation or adopt innovations introduced by its competitors. The main aim of incremental innovation is to overcome the intrinsic ambiguity, and it occurs when a new characteristic is added, eliminated, or substituted by leaving the whole set of products or services unchanged. Incremental innovations, incremental improvements to existing products, services, and organizational routines can enhance performance, quality, and usefulness.
I would like to add a few points on what my friend said about incremental innovation. It focuses on making existing product or service more competitively by reducing cost and improving or adding features. Thanks to its low level of uncertainty and risk, it is by far the most popular form of innovation. It's rare to go wrong with incremental innovation. One of the best incremental innovation example is Google, as mentioned by my friend. Gmail, the most world popular email service. Since then, the Google company has successfully emulated this method numerous times with their other products such as Google Maps to the Chrome internet browser. Google rushes to get a simple product to market in order to quickly stake out market share in emerging industry. Then gradually improve their offering, making it best in the field. But there are still danger with incremental innovation, especially if this is only method. We can take the example of business failure case study of Kodak. For example, Kodak led the photography industry for many years. They were the boss. With incremental innovation, yet steady improvement to the traditional film. When the disruptive innovation of digital imaging was introduced, it revolutionized the way people captured, stored, and used images, making Kodak obsolete. Had the company been willing to invest time and effort in most disruptive innovation, perhaps it would have remained an industry contender. It explores disruptive innovation, explores new technology, and such is categorized by a high level of risk and uncertainty. And ironically, disruptive innovation often depends on incremental improvements. refinements, modification in complementary technologies. Due to high risk factor, smaller companies or startups usually play important roles in disruptive innovation. On the positive side, we sometimes don't need to compete for market share with disruptive innovation. Rather, our branches off and create our own market, and eventually it pays off and as an spectacular, much greater than the incremental innovation. The Uber example provide can be an excellent use of disruptive innovation strategy that played off big for them.
Now, I'd like to talk about how can organization gain competitive advantage using incremental innovation. Effective innovation has become a potentially valuable way of securing competitive advantage in a firm. The main aim of incremental innovation is to overcome the intrinsic ambiguity, and it occurs when a new characteristic is added, eliminated, or substituted by leaving the whole set of products and services unchanged. Incremental improvements to existing products, services, and organizational routines can enhance performance, quality, and usefulness, and are vital to making more competitively advanced products and services. This innovation is more apt to improve and extend the quality and added value of existing product that will satisfy current consumers' need, and definitely the organization will realize the competitive organization. The internal and external sources of resources are critical to firm performances, and they suggest that innovative performance can be jointly affected by internal organizational capability and organizational networking capability in obtaining external resources. As per Dunlap and Heinker and Mister in 2010, existing studies have argued that access to external resources can help a firm sustain innovative performance. According to Cohen and Levithan in 1989, research has targeted external resources as those from partners, suppliers, competitors, and the personal mobility of scientists and engineers. Successful innovation in service industry rely on the understanding the consumer through market information processing by accessing to market intelligence, thus helps firms to modify their product mix to enhance their innovative performance. Firms pursuing incremental innovation build upon existing knowledge and extend existing product and services for existing customers in order to gain competitive advantage.
Now I'm going to talk about creating value through incremental innovations, managing cultural structure and process. Cultural structure and process are the three enablers of incremental innovations. An organization's ability to innovate is determined by its culture, its structure, and the process by which it is developed and implements new idea. These three fundamentals enables give rise to the norms in governments and management management elements that drives day by day decision making as well as long term strategic planning. All three enables presents unique opportunity and barriers that must be addressed to achieve an environment aware for innovations culture. Open and dynamic frame that encourage a culture of person perform better over the long run that finds with a culture of satisfaction. Build a successful innovations culture require developing the capacity to improve and exploit external knowledge. It also requires an inclusive and open terms innovation sensitivity to the normal human for fear of chance, a willingness to see market threats and threat as potential opportunity, and an organizational tolerance for risks and uncertainty. While the research while the research mission based to the access development is potential social for the innovations, this potential advantage is realized only when departmental leaders direct investigators towards creating constant value for the practice in those culture where the new knowledge is actively actively communicated for the practice of practical implementations across the development as the across the department. Innovative cultures understand the necessity of the necessity of the change and adoption, but are also sensitive to how innovation affect the individual and group ability. Well in advance of implementing change, leader must prepare the organization by developing both understanding of project improvement importance and urgency. Structure innovative organizations set themselves up for success, proactively establish the structural element to support the innovation process and overcome common barriers. Structure support for the innovation may include protected times to certain individual to engage in innovations, creating dedications. Innovations term has advantage and disadvantage. On one hand, dedic- dedicated innovations terms offer relatives autonomy to pursue creative idea with freedom from the official limitations, symbolically rise the importance of innovations and may promote better outcomes of investing certain individual with responsible forces. Culture and structure prepare a set the table of innovations, but that does not serve the milk. Critical to innovations is the transformations to of idea into value generating practice. Implementing the process of uh, incremental innovations requires generating idea to serve of organization missions, testing and filtering those ideas, and implementing projects with maximal efficiency.
Okay, so I would like to introduce another term uh, from the innovation matrix that is known as radical innovation. So, according to article from Doyle in 2020, stated that radical innovation is when an organization apply new technology into a new market, when such as when in a newer product, process, or services with technological advancement that has high market impact and completely replaces an existing offer. So this innovation occurs in long term and it actually takes place by viewing change as a process fueled by internal and external feedback, iterating on newer products or service on small scale, such as running a pilot product and defining the parameters of new market through consumer research, which helps to target a market that did not actually exist previously before. So by changing the components and how the components interact and putting them together in a new way to create a unique solution, radical innovation actually becomes increasingly important in today's market as it helps to transform relationship between customers and suppliers as they provide an engine for the long-term growth of company that corporate leaders seek. So when radical innovation is successfully achieved, it typically results in a high level of reward. For instance, it could be the rise of Netflix as a mail order movie service and later as a provider of streaming video as radical innovation that put the retail based movie or rental model and the industry giants such as blockbusters out of business.
So, so now I'd like to talk about how to manage radical innovation. There are different stages of radical innovation that must overcome different steps and stages that are completely unknown to the management of incremental innovation. Managing these stages is by far one of the most demanding management tasks in innovation management. There are phases where innovation efforts seem to go nowhere. Innovation teams have to overcome uncertainty, dead ends, and phases in which radical innovation is about to fail. Each of these phases can be accelerated, managed, but they cannot be skipped. The first phase is exploration, the key to radical innovation. The first stage of radical innovation is partly reminiscent of police investigation work. The aim is to identify unidentified customer needs, bring to light motives of customers that were previously unknown, and link them to future trends. The second one is association, developing radical innovation concepts. The result of the first phase are brought together and condensed into fields of opportunity. Concrete ideas and projects emerge from this. The third stage is speed development. Internal startup teams are founded, prototypes are created in the shortest possible time, feedback from customers and partners is collected, the concepts are modified again. In the speed development stage, test markets are defined that the radical innovation must successfully pass. The last stage is integration of radical innovation. The innovation project, often developed far outside the existing process, is now being integrated into the company. There are various phases of integration. If the radical innovation is directly linked to the core competencies of the company, it usually proceeds without the problem. Mm, Hence, these four stages are not static. In contrast to linear process, which always follows a fixed sequence, these four stages are iterative. Each stage stands for itself, but there is always an alignment with the previous stage. Sometimes radical innovation project starts again from the beginning because new opportunities or new obstacles have come up in the middle of the process. Uh, for example, the team that is currently testing prototypes in the speed development stage finds that there would be a much large market if the product was changed. In a linear process, this opportunity it would be ignored. In an iterative process, the team goes through stage 1 and stage 2 again, but at a much higher speed.
Radical innovation is a transformative business model that seeks to completely demolish and replace an existing industry or create a whole new industry. It takes an existing system, design, or innovation and turns it into something brand new. It may change the parts of the system, the process of the system, or both. Radical innovation solves global problems and addresses needs in completely new ways than before. In today's environment of rapid technological change, radical innovations have become crucial for long competitiveness of firms. Although firms have become increasingly sophisticated in the development of incremental innovations, many companies struggle to generate radical innovation. The development of new businesses and product lines based on breakthrough innovations, which is critical for renewal of a firm's competitive position, requires management practices that differ substantially from those required for incremental innovations. While incremental innovations are typically extensions to current product offerings or logical and relatively minor extensions to existing products, radical product innovations involve the development of or application of significantly new technologies or ideas into markets that are either non-existent or require dramatic behavior changes to existing markets. In today's environment of rapid technological change, companies cannot rely on incremental innovations alone. Products and processes with higher content of novel technologies are considered as radical since they are based on completely new technological principles that require a new knowledge base or the use of entirely new materials or components. Such innovations generally require higher organization costs, sometimes require innovation in the entire system to which they adapt, and often involve changes within the firm, usually generating ill feeling and rejection in work team. The most radical innovations are thus accompanied by high level associated risk and uncertainty. However, this risk generates additional advantage for firms. For example, products with high technological innovation provides great quality and better performance and can be protected by patents, decreasing competition. To innovate radically, a business must embrace the digital transformation as a whole. To develop radical innovations, companies depend on technological and market related capabilities. Technological innovations such as personal computer and the internet are the example of radical innovations that have transformed the way the entire world functions and communicates. These disruptive innovations provide the society with a platform to build on top of, leading to higher accelerated economic growth. Radical innovation can have been defined as innovations that incorporate new technologies that result in a new market structure or create a demand not previously recognized by the customer.
Adding more upon radical innovation, I like to talk about going radical, producing and transferring the disruptive innovation. Research and innovation has since long recognized the importance of radical science and innovation as a crucial element in the process of creative destruction driving economic growth in free market system, which as per Scrumcher in 1911, radical science provides new insights and elaborates new concepts that depart significantly from past paradigms. Radical innovation is innovation that breaks established rules. It has the potential to create entirely new market or product classes or lead to major product replacement within existing product classes. Radical innovation typically generates substantial positive externalities that benefit other for example, through technological spillovers that in turn lead to follow-on innovation introduced by imitators. Example of radical scientific discoveries include high temperature superconductors and induced purely potential stem cells, that is IPS cells. Example of radical innovation include the microprocessor, magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, cell phones, and ranitidine. The radical innovations create the scope for further value creation by follow-on innovations and or other form that process complementary assets and or that took advantage from other technological and demand externalities created by radical innovation. Despite their relevance, universal and compelling underpinning of radical science and innovation remain exclusive. Similar problem concern the methodologies for assessing radicalness in science and innovation. In general, there is consensus among scholars that radical contributions differs from incremental contributions from their fundamentally transformative nature, often termed as revolutionarily breakthrough, discontinuous, or disruptive, as per Colombo and Fagion 2015 in the Journal of Technology Transfer.
Okay, so as we learned about what radical means in I would like to talk a little bit about more about building a radical innovation competency for companies in the market. As according to one of the research papers done in 2020 by S. Craig at AL, they figured that radical innovations allow organizations to achieve competitive advantage in market by challenging the dominant position of leader companies, improve the market image of the organization, increase consumer loyalty among and several other benefits. However, as radical innovation also is actually hard to implement and it is quite costly, so it is related to countless uncertainties as they focused on enhancing the radical innovation, which figured that it is actually linked with organizational design and generative learning. So firstly, generative learning can be defined as a theory that involves in the active integration of new ideas with the learner's existing schemata, as it is the process of constructing meaning through generating relationships and associations between the existing knowledge and beliefs. By relating generative learning with radical innovation, they figured that the change in competences and market demanded by radical innovation needs generative learning because it questions an organization's previous assumptions about its missions, customers, the opportunities, etc., which consequently breaks through the learning barriers. And also by relating organic structure with radical innovation, they figured that organic structures enable innovation more easily than hierarchical structures because these organizations empower employees and create trusting relationships, thereby facilitating creative and innovative process.
Agreeing to my friend, now I'm going to add some of the companies that have adopted radical and incremental innovations. Firstly, talking about radical innovation is a transformative business model that seeks to the complete defend and replace an exiting industry or create a whole new industry. It takes an exiting system, design or invest or invention and turn it into a something brand new. It may change the part of the system, the process of the system, or both. radical innovations fall on the almost end of the innovative field. A, a modular innovations involves a changing one model in the design process or business model to generate specific to generate significant improvement and an, an architectural improvement change how those how those modules work together to bring significant improvement. Radical innovation since both the component and how the component interact with and pulls them together together in a new way to create a unique solution. The iPhone is one of the example of a radical innovation since despite the device worldwide popularity, many does not know that how it came about. The iPhone was not new technology. Its software and interface were derived from the iPod and exiting Apple technology. It was the iPhone computer capacity that was the real radical innovations. Rather than add on few more features to our existing phone, Apple shifted to the concept on underprinting the iPhones by introducing a product equipped to meet users' total communications need in real life. Apple transformed the digital communication industry by applying its core skills to future goals. Apple achieved a radical innovations which impact the field impact in whose impact is felt worldwide. Another example is Amazon. The company made the highlighted uh, the company made the headline when it launched its dash button, a small Wi-Fi connected device that allow you to reorder household essentials such as toilet paper, razor or washing powder at the click of a button. Both the technology are and the business model of replying on repeat order are the both new, but we are yet to see if this radical innovation will hit with the customer. Incremental innovations is an upgrade or a series of small improvement of the frame of the fine service, process, and product. Incremental innovations involves many small scales improvement to add or sustain value to existing product, service, and process. This can be simpler as adding a new features to an existing product, or it can be more complex. For example, developing a line extension. The change focus on the improvement existing product efficiency and company differentiation. Coca-Cola is one of the example of the incremental innovation. Coca-Cola is a soft drink company that extensions such as cherry Coke, Coke with lime, and more recently Coca-Cola Life has emerged from 130 years old brand to stay related. Coca-Cola tap into emergency trend and bring something new to its customer over the years.
Today, consumers are stricter and more careful in choosing their products than past. Since nowadays, consumers use variety of products in their daily life, they want products that are more innovative. Innovation means creating new goods, service, or process. Innovation has been changed to a key concept in recent decades. Accelerated development of science and technology shortened the product life cycle growth and maturity of products, and globalization altogether led to the increase of the importance of innovation for organizations. Innovation is actually a necessity for organizations that compete in a dynamic and unpredictable environment, and as a vital source it creates competitive advantage. Many researchers concluded that the size of organization does not have direct impact on the incremental innovation, but on the contrary, specialization and decentralization from structural dimensions influence significantly the incremental innovation. Moreover, Summit 2018 concluded that both radical innovation and incremental innovation impact economic value creation and profitability of organizations positively, and among them, the radical innovation has a stronger impact. In a part of their articles, Should 2019 also mentioned that both radical and incremental innovation influence the growth of market and national economic growth, while radical innovation has more severe impact on these factors. While incremental innovation is accessible under low risks, it will provide low benefit to the users. In contrary, radical innovation is accessible under high uncertainty and risks and is based on market transaction and the technology of pressure strategy. It is important to note that radical innovation contains 10% of all new innovations, while the portion of incremental innovation is 90%. But in the radical innovation, new technologies are used for creating new and unknown requirements of the customers and the target market. Incremental innovation helps in introducing goods and services with new features or modifications in current technologies and products. The focus of radical innovation is on market pull or technology of push strategy.
Now, I'd like to talk about organizational strategy and structural difference for radical versus incremental innovation. A radical innovation is one that has an important contact on a market and on the financial movement of firm in the market, while incremental innovation concerns an existing product, services, procedure, organization, or method whose performance has been considerably better upgrade. There are two dimensions that we can use to separate an incremental from radical innovation. The first is an internal dimension based on the knowledge and resources involved. An incremental innovation will build upon existing knowledge and resources within a certain company, meaning it will be competitive enhancing. A radical innovation, on the other hand, will require completely new knowledge and or resources and will be therefore competence destroying. The second dimension, the external one, differentiates the innovation based on the technological changes and on the impact on the market competitiveness. An incremental innovation will involve modest technological changes and the existing product on the market will remain competitive. A radical innovation will instead involve large technological advancement, rendering the existing products non-competitive and obsolete. As per Elliott and Bridges in 1984 in the Journal of Management Science. One of the latest example of radical innovation in the case of is the case of Amazon.com and its approach to sell book by internet. Amazon successfully emerged from the dot-com bubble and demonstrated significant result of growth from $4 billion in 2002 to $20 million in 2008. One of the main reasons why Amazon successfully survived the internet bubble was the firm's ability to anticipate the changing market needs and customer values. Amazon started to sell wide range of books that obtained the said book industry that led to a number of traditional bookstores going out of business, going out of business, which is the incremental innovation breaking the stereotype. Zacher, Holk, and Vokal Macnick and Robert Jigen 8 in 2008 present the case of MySQL AB as a proof that it is possible to win a success through the incremental innovation. MySQL is a SQL database management system. Despite the fact that the genesis of the system is dated in the late 80s, the most important advance has been made the beginning of 21st century when www.mysql.com was formed to maintain the database. MySQL gained a sound position in the web service community.
Steve Jobs, the late CEO of Apple, famously said, "It is really hard to design product by same group. A lot of times people don't know what they want, still want until you show it to them. Then there are others who says consumers should be the source of innovation, the thesis of modern creativity, community, crowdsourcing, and co-creation, according to John Wilkins." So who is right, Jobs or Wilkins? Actually, they both are right. It depends on the kind of innovation companies are seeking. The innovation, product, process, and organization have different degrees of novelty. Because of the novelty is intrinsic to the innovation. Thus, the degree of novelty of innovation is another classification with two categories: incremental and radical. Radical innovation are famous on developing revolutionary new technologies, markets, and business models that change the world. Incremental innovation refer to the innovation process that seek to improve in existing system and product to make them better, cheaper, or faster. Both types of innovation are interconnected. The iPhone is a famous example of radical innovation. It remained the scope of what a phone could do and rewrote the rules for many marketing, including photography, e-commerce, maps, navigation systems, television, movies, and music. Steve Jobs was right to suggest the idea for an iPhone would never have come out of a focus group. But anyone who suggests that customers can provide valuable input to fuel radical innovation would be wrong. A hybrid car is an example of incremental innovation. As it does not change the nature of capability of a car. It just adds a second source of power. That kind of idea that could come from asking people for ideas to make cars more environmentally friendly. This type of innovation can benefit from input from consumers. Incremental innovation can be inspired by co-creation of consumers' suggestions, but co-creation will not, however, lead to radical innovation. Now, talking about business concept innovation and business model innovation, it is also it allows allows bright idea to be brought into business sector. These new ideas completely transform how to do and what to do in a business. But both business concept innovation and business model innovation are required. McDonald's transformed the idea of what a restaurant is and what it does, building up restaurants business based on properly interrelated business concept innovation and business model innovation. At the same time, of the innovation achieved by this firm are specific to its business model and business concept. Because McDonald's applies knowledge and technology in the specific manner determined by its business perception and business configuration. Walmart, IKEA, Inditex, and Southwest are other examples of firms in which business model innovation and business concept innovation are driving their success.
There is no one-size-fits-all formula for innovation management success. The essence of innovation is made of trying the different combinations of known things to create new stuff and figure out the better way to do things. Innovation is the most wanted change. It is important for businesses to discover the needs of innovation as the first step. Innovation has a broader step in the digital era. It accomplishes far more than incremental product innovation or internal process optimization. It can build evolutionary business models as well as path-breaking products and services that leap the businesses to the next level business growth cycle. Building capabilities for incremental do what we do better innovation differs from radical do different innovation. Radical innovation requires a different approach to research and involves significant business change as well as investment. But if executed successfully, it can be transformational. However, a completely novel innovation is impossible. All ideas have predecessors and are always based on previous innovations, sometimes through refinement and sometimes through a novel combination of several pre-existing ideas. On the other hand, incremental innovation involves making small incremental innovations to add or sustain value of existing products, services, or processes. This can be as simple as adding new feature to an existing product or developing a line extension. It relies on existing technology and an existing business model. Most successful products undergo continual incremental innovation intended to lower their cost and enhance effectiveness. This dominant form of innovation is not as exciting as radical innovation, but it is as important. Radical innovations seldom live up to their potential when they are first introduced. At the first, they are often difficult to use, expensive, and limited in capability. Incremental innovations, meanwhile, are necessary to transform the radical idea into a form that is acceptable to the consumers who follow the early adopters. Radical innovation brings new domains and new paradigms and create a potential for major changes. Incremental innovation is how the value of that potential is captured. Without radical innovation, incremental innovation reaches a limit. Without incremental innovation, the potential enabled by radical change is not captured.
Talking about the roles of firms, managers, and innovators in radical and incremental innovation, companies have always tried to create and capitalize on competitive advantages, ensuring profitability and long term survival. Due to the increasing competition in most markets, mainly caused by globalization, liberalization, and better information of the customers, the need to gain advantages in competition is now more essential than ever. Radical innovation has the power to change customer expectations, alter industry economies, and redefine the basis for competitive advantage. Radical innovations play an important role in economic growth, not just because of their direct contributions to productivity, but also because further innovations can build on them. In addition to workers, the economy is populated by managers who both play an operational role, which is reducing cost and manage innovation. In last 10 years, we have witnessed the emergence of companies like Uber, Airbnb, Spotify, Pinterest, Instagram, WhatsApp. Most of these companies have challenged the status quo in various industries and created new business models, unlocked underutilized assets, and targeted underserved user needs. In this digital world where product features no longer offer a significant strategic advantage, these companies have relied on new approaches to remain competitive. These pure play digital companies utilize networks, effects, platform based ecosystems, data driven decision making, and feature imitations in order to remain competitive in this dynamic world. In short, they have mastered the art of constantly promoting radical innovations. Incremental innovations and competitive advantage effective innovation has become a potentially valuable way of securing competitive advantage in a firm. The main aim of incremental innovation is to overcome the intrinsic ambiguity, and it occurs when a new characteristics is added, eliminated, or substituted, but leaving the whole set of products and services unchanged. Incremental improvements to existing products, services, and organizational routines can enhance performance, quality, and usefulness and are vital to making more completely advanced products and services. This innovation is more suitable to improve and extend the quality and added value of existing products that will satisfy current customers' needs, and definitely the organization will realize competitive advantage. For example, Cadbury has innovated through inducing their line extensions as well as developing new flavors. The brand has also created new formats. Take Wispa as an example. The popular chocolate bar is now available as a hot chocolate and a snacking bag. By using an incremental approach to innovation, Cadbury has been able to open up additional sources of revenue as well.
Okay, so I'd like to talk a little bit about the relationship that exists between incremental innovation as radical innovation. So speaking on the innovation terms that leads to radical change, or which one is more beneficial or right, as according to research paper from David Gardner in 2017 stated that both of them are actually quite important and interconnected, as radical and incremental innovation typically follows upon each other. So by delivering great leaps of forward in terms of revenue or efficiency, whereas the tweaks offered by incremental innovation results in benefits that tend to be more modest. For instance, a hybrid car can be an example of incremental innovation, as it does not change the nature or the capability of the car. And for radical innovation, Sony introduced a robot dog named Aibo in 1999. So it targeted such market that actually did not exist previously before. So the learnings can be that each of the innovation can benefit from input from consumers, as incremental innovation can be inspired by co-creation or consumer suggestions, and for radical innovation, it takes place in the chains of structure of the market, create new market, or render existing product obsolete. Thank you.
So now finally, to achieve the competitive advantage in global market today, companies need innovative skills and creativity in creating, producing, marketing, and managing. Companies should develop up and implement strategies to develop and maintain innovative skills. This can only be possible with implementation of innovation management properly. Innovation and creativity, one of the most important tools of competitive advantage, brings success only if it is managed effectively. Creating new values and managing the creativity process effectively opens new markets and brings competitive advantage. According to to many researchers, the importance of innovation and creativity are necessary knowledge, generally identical for all organizations regardless of their size and economic sector. The, the many surveys has shown that the majority of large and small organizations place emphasis on innovation and establishing a suitable innovative culture. Innovation and creativity are a key source of competitive advantage that determines the economic success of each organization. If organizations wish to survive and grow in today's turbulent environment, they have to make every effort to introduce an innovative approach and creativity. Therefore, top management support is initial. In the process of innovation, knowledge is an essential element, and in present competitive environment, innovation helps gain an advantage over other organizations. To conclude, it is possible to state that innovation and creativity are and will surely continue to be a means for organization to survive in today's turbulent and highly competitive environment.
So thank you so much, Learning Set A, for your student-led seminar. Yes, there were a lot of things that were discussed here about the for starting with the innovation and creativity, and you talked about the structure of innovation, the qualities of the creative thinker. That was a very good thing that you have included, as well as incremental versus radical innovation. Yes, a bit. Well, we discussed a lot about the incremental and radical innovation in the in this debate, and some good example. Yes, and a lot of example from iPhone. Yes, uh, iPhone, Airbnb, and lots of other examples. Good examples were given to justify your arguments. Also, the culture structure for the rule of culture and structure for the incremental innovation. You talked about the consumer and innovation. Uh, uh, Also, the competitiveness and how to be competitive, you have to innovate. And lastly, you talked about the relationship between the incremental and radical innovation as well. Yes, both are important, and innovation management is very much important in an organization. Yes, the debate would have been more better if you could have talked also on about value of alliancing for managing the innovation. Okay, so how alliancing can be done, and how you have talked about employee empowerment, but more on employee empowerment and culture. This is the main thing for staying innovative and creative. You have talked about the top level management support, but you could have further discussed on the role of leadership in innovation as well. And the basic thing, yeah, let's make it as a debate again. Okay, so let's make it as a debate. And also, some of you were not having quoting the sources, giving the sources that can be improved as well. And do not just make it as a presentation. Some of you were just putting your point, what others are seeing. You have to see that as well, see, listen to it as well, and support and contradict and contrast their things as well. That if that would have been done, the debate would have been more better. So thank you so much for this. I hope the feedbacks that I have given you, you will implement it in the next debate. Very good session. Thank you so much. I'm stopping the recording.